There we go. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, we are here, and we're here with our guest. Right back out immediately. He's here. Why is he here? Because he should be here. Not only should he be on this program over here, we're going to talk about how you should be in the right place, right time, right moment. And how does that happen? Well, it happens because of past experience. His involvement with the bank has grown to the level where he's now a branch manager. He's with People's United Bank. Not only that, when Craig Levy, when Craig and I spoke about, about his role over there, he put it succinctly: it's everything. It all falls back to him. He gets the opportunity to work with the different employees, customers, everything that happens within that branch. It's great. He's also the one that's reaching out to the Melville Chamber of Commerce. He's the face of it. He's the man, and he is here with us today. Hey, Craig, again, thank you so much for joining us here today. And, I just love that whole story about the bank and how it's involved with the chamber and how it's involved with the whole entire community. But it all starts someplace. And generally, it doesn't start from a week ago or a month ago. It starts from this background of like why you got involved in a situation where, one, you're working with people. I mean, bottom line, you probably interact with people a lot more than you interact with money here. So again, thanks for joining us today.
Well, thank you so much, Brian, for having me. Banking is a lot of fun. You meet a lot of people, you learn about a lot of people, and they become family. And you treat them as you would family. You do the right thing, the right products, and you watch them grow. I remember many years ago when I had a customer that I started them off, it was a law firm, personal injury, and they asked for $100,000 line of credit. I visited them years later. They were $1.5 million. So they grew significantly over the years. And you've watched, your customers really progress, and you help them along the line. You're like their equal partner.
So you're definitely both in the same, moving in the same direction, right? Because as they
Yes.
grow, you grow, and that's a great thing. Different ways of getting there and different aspects of where you fit into it, but you definitely fit into it. That's why, like in so many cases, there's so many situations, regardless of whatever it is that we do for a living, regardless of whatever that actual role title is, we wind up becoming partners, coaches, sharing ideas. And I think that's probably really where like the Chamber of Commerce, fits into the whole thing, because you have the resources of so much that you could bring to the table that you could share with
Sure.
that customer that's got not a darn thing in the world with banking per se. It does have to do with what you're looking for these customers to do, and that's to grow.
Well, the chamber has been a big asset to me all these years. The Melville Chamber, I've met so many people. Matter of fact, if I'm looking to do work, I go to the Melville Chamber, let's say around my house, and I try to use them first before I even think about it. I try to keep it local and support our local businesses. I'm now the vice president of the Melville Chamber, and it's been such a big help in my career because I have met so many people. All of a sudden I'll get a call out of nowhere. Craig, I need this, I need that. So the business is actually coming to me because of word of mouth. You do the right thing for the right person, and it will come back to you, over and over. So the chamber is a real great thing. It's really developed my personality. I'm able to walk over to anybody and talk to them. Hi, I'm so-and-so. I do this, this, and this. What do you do? And it's a really good feeling because I have a funny story that I was at a chamber event a few years ago, and I saw this gentleman just standing there by himself, and I felt so bad because with the chamber, you have to have a little bit that you can walk over to somebody. And I said, hi, I'm so-and-so. What do you do? And I was able to give him his first introduction once I knew who he, like what he did. And I walked him over to somebody that, that could benefit from him. And it was such a nice feeling that I was able to help him. The chamber is, oh, I'm sorry.
I was getting, there is the coach.
Exactly. The chamber is, we have a fantastic board of directors that I'm, my colleagues, and we work with all the members of the chamber. Anytime they have an issue, we'll try to help them and get it, and make it work at this point.
And that actually is the strength of the whole. That's the strength of That's the strength of every organization. Well, that should be the strength. Let's be perfectly clear here, because you know what? It's never across the board. It's never every company. It's never every employee. It's never every
Mm,
manager. It's never every anything, that goes on there. But that is the attribute of a successful person, individual, organization. It's that wanting to reach out and help somebody and seeing that smile on your own face when you see the success of somebody else, or making that proper introduction of that person to somebody. And that could be to another person, or it could have been to one of the many committees that are part of the Chamber of Commerce.
right. It's, just getting involved with the chamber, you meet a lot of the people in public office. You're meeting industries that you never would have the chance to meet. And you just have a nice book of business behind you that can help you. You know, I can reach out to a member of the chamber and say, I need your help, and they'll be the first one to help me.
Yeah, it's nice to see that camaraderie, come through. So it seems like the chamber is definitely helped you on the banking side of things. But then, you mentioned the personal aspect of it too, and that it brings out a different aspect of your personality. So when you're sitting down with somebody in the bank, customer, and you're having that conversation, how quickly does it flow out that you're the vice president over at the chamber? Or you got the plaque on the wall. Like, how do you do that? How do you bring, I'm curious to see,
Oh,
how do you
sure.
bring that up? Because it is part of your brand. I mean, this is the reality of it.
Oh,
You know,
yeah, exactly. I first like to find out about their business first. I want to hear about them. How can I help them is by listening to what their needs are, their story. And then as it naturally comes out about the chamber, it comes out that I'm also on the economic advisory board of Farmingdale College. I'm on the business advisory board of Five Towns College. So it just shows that I really enjoy being part of the community and helping everybody.
yeah. And that is a part of it. That is a part of it. Like, I'm a big believer, in the fact that we all should be involved. I'll use that word all, but we should be involved, in some sort of nonprofit organization or development group or council or something like that, because it not only brings out, well, I think it brings out the best in people, for one, because you wind
It,
up being with people that are there for
great.
the right reasons. But it not only adds to your personality, but it adds to your story on both sides. It bringing the professional life there, or bringing your, let's say, volunteer life, back over
Well,
to the bank.
well, Brian, I have a funny quick story. Yesterday, I actually was the guest speaker at the International Economic Honor Society meeting at Farmingdale College. So I gave a speech to the graduating students, and it was just very rewarding, with everything going on with the pandemic and trying to see a light at the end of the tunnel and bring it all together. It was a lot of fun.
But yeah, it definitely is rewarding, when you do those things. So it's interesting. So what are you telling the students? Because there's so many things that have changed. Like, I got started doing this thing, and the morning program talking about the pandemic and what's going on, but it's
Sure.
kind of evolved. Not only, the topic over here, it's evolved a little bit, but I think the opportunities that we see now going forward, in some respects, being on a digital platform, like this one, or any of the other meetings that you could hold online. All of a sudden, it's brought a lot of people together that are geographically separated, that could attend these things.
Well, like with the pandemic, there's a lot of things that have changed. A lot of people do work at home now that never did before. A lot of companies would never let their employees work at home, and they've seen that it actually works. It's great for a work-life balance. But there's a lot of good things. I see the pandemic improve, the things going on improving out there. Businesses are starting to open. Sport venues are opening again. I mean, companies are wanting their employees to come back. And as vaccinations go on, I see it actually getting better. And I see, my opinion is that I see a big boom in the economy once this actually starts getting, actually going.
Yes, and it'd be nice to see these businesses open for everybody to go and do that face-to-face thing. as it goes, and keeping some of the digital meetings, there also, because it does present other opportunities to meet with people that are not just, they cannot
Right.
just
It's
physically get to a meeting, and then you
exactly
can digitally get to these, get to these things. So,
right. It's funny because I've done so many Zooms over the last year or plus that I'm going to miss it eventually, but there's nothing better than having a face-to-face meeting with somebody. And that will happen very soon. A year ago, I wouldn't have said that it's going to happen soon. I thought it would never end, but there is a light at the end of this tunnel. And I look forward for everybody to getting back together.
yeah, it will be nice to do that. We get to see, actually shake a hand with somebody, doing that whole thing. And then really getting to it helps when you're getting to meeting somebody for the first time. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, you can't ever assume is the best alternative to keep everybody safe. But there's no reason why we can't do Zooms and live meetings down the road, because advantages of Zooms that you don't have to travel to that location. You can meet somebody instantly with a Zoom. You can communicate. You can share your computer screen with somebody. You could do a lot of the things, but that human factor is what's going to win over.
Yeah, that is one of the things, call it the water cooler talk. There's little sidebar
The,
conversations. It becomes a little
going
bit
on
more
the elevator,
challenging.
right? Going on that elevator, who are you going to talk to? Meeting somebody from another department that you never met before. It's learning about their industry. There's so many different things you can do in person, but it's nice how everybody adapted to Zoom, for example, or Google Meet. It's just that there's so many ways that we were able to, get around our obstacles.
Yeah, well, I would agree. I'm a big fan of the digital world, though. I'm like I say, I'm all in, on this thing, because I think the possibilities are just tremendous, absolutely tremendous when it comes to the ease of meeting somebody. And look, the first time meeting somebody, there is a lot to be said, for meeting face to face, really getting to understand what somebody's all about when you sit down across the table, a desk, or meeting in whatever environment, that there certainly is. But the fact that everybody's so much more accessible, from a time efficiency standpoint, it's there. And basically this too, by the way. Yeah, now.
I'm enjoying this. This having Zoom and ways to communicate with people at any hour. It's fantastic. It
Yeah.
really it brings it home. So there was a lot of good things about Zoom, and I hope that Zoom and physical meetings still happen down the road.
Well, the chamber's done a pretty good job of that whole thing. One, making the decision not to do the trade show because you didn't want to go
Right.
digital with it, and that was a decision. But
That's
the
Brian.
replacement of,
Right. I'm sorry. That was something that we made a choice that we have to keep people safe right now. More than anything else is to keep people safe because, even if you don't even show symptoms, you could be carrying the disease and you can have a person that is in high risk. It's not worth it. We have to keep everybody safe at this point, and we're getting there. We're so close to getting there at this point.
right. The point I want to make on that one, though, is that you decided to not do obviously we're not going to do, you're not doing a physical trade show, face-to-face trade show, during the pandemic, that was without a doubt, off the
Yeah.
table. But the idea of not going the route of a digital trade show, but that you replace that, though, with all these committee meetings, and there's so many more things, at, at least from my perspective, there seems
That's
to be a lot more activity with the chamber today than it was 2 years ago, but everything's done. All those meetings are done, virtually now, digitally. Let's use the word digitally. They're not kind
right.
of happening. They really are happening. They're digitally happening, but not go
Right.
the route, of the trade show there. So I commend that. I commend that decision, of not bothering, with the digital trade show. There is a place for it. And that's probably because of everything that you and the prior guests and the folks that I've spoken to over the chamber and seen at the chamber is the fact that it is such a, I use the word mentoring. It seems like it's such a mentoring attitude, that is there. And especially with the newer members, It's a matter of like, how do I really get to know you? And there's a limitation. I'll give you that. The digital side of thing, as opposed to sitting down and, having a cup of coffee, breaking bread together, that kind of thing.
Well, the best thing at the chamber is, my advice to anybody is, don't try to sell your product immediately. Get to know the person, have a cup of coffee with them, invite them to breakfast, and then you can start building that relationship. But do not come to a chamber meeting just trying to sell product when nobody even knows who you are, because that's not going to really help your business. Get to know that person, because that's the best way to do this. It's networking.
Yep. That actually becomes your brand. Write that in there. Hey, what's that guy
Exactly.
like? Salesperson. Salesperson only cares about the product. It's like, okay,
Oh yeah, there's so much more to that than just trying to sell the product. It's the brand, it's the personality, it's the person, and you have that comfort level. I have customers that have followed me for 15 plus years, not because of anything else. They believe in me. And it's just rewarding that I can help them, and I have a good track record with them.
Yeah. That's the positive side of the brand, not the salesperson brand, but it's the rest of that. You want to be a resource. You are a resource, and you're a resource in both from the chamber perspective with what it is you're doing, and also from the bank perspective too. See, you're at the branch, the East Northport branch. How are your employees seeing this? Because I mean, you are the branch manager there, so they see that with what you're doing there, with the other
Oh,
folks that are selling things. Are they?
they,
What do
they
you tell me?
really
How do they see? How do they perceive
well.
you
uh,
with that aspect of it?
Well, as you were saying, I'm the branch manager of People's United Bank right in East Northport. My staff loves it. They just see the energy, the excitement. They just see that I'm going out there, bringing new customers in, and really helping the customers. Basically, by helping the customers, it's helping everybody, and it's just doing the right thing for everything. I can't even say it enough. Just doing the right thing for the person, getting to know them. For example, I had a customer, Craig, I need your help. Could I talk to you? I'm like, yeah, sure. I'll be happy to talk to you. Craig, I got into an auto accident and they want to give me $500. I said, please, you didn't sign anything, did you? No. I'm like, good. Why? Because I found out he was hit 40 miles an hour in the rear, stopped at a traffic light. So I hooked him up with an auto body shop. I introduced him to a personal injury attorney. And he was telling me that his business now is having trouble. I set him up with a debt settlement attorney, and he loved it. It was like I was his trusted advisor, and he came to me for all these different things. And he was so happy with each one of these recommendations. It made his day, because you call up, say you reach out to an auto body shop. You don't know if you're going to like them, if they're reputable. But my recommendation meant a lot to this person, and it worked out.
Yeah. And there's a lot more to just fixing a car than fixing a car, because that auto body shop is also interacting with the insurance company and a few other things that go along the way there.
Right.
Yeah. So it's not just, which is a perfect example of it. It's not just product. Right?
They took care. That $500 that this customer was offered ended up being $4,000, because they took the car, pieces of the car apart, and saw there was a lot more damage. They did their due diligence, and they worked with the insurance company. The customer didn't have to work with the insurance company, and got $4,000 for the same thing.
So on the chamber side of things, so you're interacting with businesses. So for a newer business, something in it, and it's in and around the Melville area, you don't have, obviously you're an example of that one too. You don't have to be located in Melville proper in order to be a member or vice president even of the Chamber of Commerce. But so what do you suggest to somebody, a newer business gets started? Obviously, you guide whatever guidance on the banking side of things, but then it comes down to, how would you suggest that a business approach the Chamber of Commerce?
Well, at first, even just come to a meeting and just to try it out. No hard sell, just try it out, meet some of the members, introduce yourself, and before you know it, you have a really strong connection. There's a lot of like networking groups out there, but the chamber it's just so natural to people. Many businesses together, all introducing themselves and trying to help each other and doing the right thing for that person.
Right.
That's the big key.
And there's that learning experience that goes in there too. I mean, like even, and all of these committees, and I know a few of the committee members, committee chairs, personally beyond, this side of things. It just seems like there's a lot. Again, I'll use that word mentoring again. I'll keep harping back on that one because that's what I see really is the difference here. There's some chambers that are designed that I live in the community. I'm going to be a member of the chamber just for personal reasons, just as much for business reasons, meet my neighbors kind of thing, meet the pizza place, the bagel shop, the whatever, down the block and that kind of thing. That's not really the focus here. It definitely seems to be more of the business development side of things. What could you learn from meeting somebody else? What could you learn from being a part of a committee, whether it be the women's network group, the diversity group, any one of those, committees.
You're meeting a lot of good people in a lot of these groups. You're learning about them. You're learning about what they do. We're all in a common zone trying to help each other at this point, trying to make it a better way, a better life for everybody. And doing it naturally, not, falsely, doing it naturally. That's the way to do it at this point. It's just so nice to meet people and help them. A lot of times, you can do charity work or help the community, and it's so rewarding. Next week, for example, I'm going to be doing mock interviews for for the Northport High School. I'm going to be helping the students. There's so many different things that I'm involved with. It's just giving back.
It is. And it's showing great leadership skills too, because it gets your employees, the other folks in the bank, all kind of revved up, not knowing, all right,
Definitely.
who's what's the story of the day today? Who's Craig bringing in, either virtually, digitally, face to face? What's the new one? What's the other activity that goes along with it? Because you can't do this without them. And it's, and that's an absolute also, you need the team behind you, whether it be at the chamber or over at the branch also. And then the
Right.
whole entire bank for that fact.
As in a sports team, you can't do it by yourself.
Nope.
You need everybody's help. Everybody's hands are on deck at this point. And my staff is fantastic. We're always trying to help our customers together. Even when I'm not in the office, my staff will help these customers, and they do such a great job with it.
Yeah. So since you brought up the mock interview thing, let's go with this question too. So here you are, you're in a leadership position, you got the banking, you're doing the right thing, you're interacting with everybody. What was it? What was your triggering event that sent you in this direction in the banking or more where you wanted to go, the leadership role, the manager role?
Well, many years ago, how I got into banking, it's a funny story. This is before 9/11. I went into Manhattan. I would take the elevator to the top floor, and I would hit all these different offices, giving out the resumes, actually filling out applications at the time. Now everything's online, but everything was manual at the time. And I just got into banking by accident. I was, as a college graduate, you're trying for different things. You're not trying to limit yourself, and just banking fell into place. And over the years, getting in different positions, doing the best you can. Then many years ago, I was sponsored into the retail credit management training program. And one of the first classes to get that through internally. Usually they get it external from the Ivy League schools, Harvard, Yale, Columbia. And they allowed me into that class. So here I'm in this class, and it was funny. There was a Harvard graduate in there, a Columbia graduate in there. There were accounting majors in there. And they said, Craig, if you don't do well in this class, because it's costing a lot of money and you're the experiment, you're not going to have a job anymore. So I would study 7 days a week. I even got a tutor. I even did whatever I can because I wanted to do well in this class. And I ended up doing well, and I got placed. And matter of fact, at the time, I got placed as an account manager in the Empire State Building doing commercial lending. It was a lot of fun.
It's great. It really is.
But yeah, you
It's
have,
interesting how we wind up in different places, and some of it's by luck. I'll tell you luck, but there was no luck. You created your luck,
you
I
have
could
to.
see that. I remind you of a few stories. One guy stood outside the building and just handed out his resume to everybody. And it's like I had no idea. I was not in a position to help anybody. I was very, very new, in my career also. But I did take his resume, handed it to a couple of people. And it's like this guy has got an attitude that just should be cultivated. Forget about what his
Right.
knowledge is, the rest of that stuff. He's got the attitude. Obviously, you had that go get him kind of an attitude that people saw, continue to see, and continue to see now. And now look at you. You give
Well,
back. You're bringing people
exactly.
along for the ride. And my
Well,
guess is that energizes you too along the way.
right. Well, like for example, I took a job out of college in a loan department. So I said, okay, loan department. It's not exactly what I wanted, but it had a nice name in there. So I would work with a lot of the loan officers. So one of the groups had asked me to come in for an interview in his office. It was a private banking division. So I said, okay. He goes, you have the job. After talking to him, I was like, this is great. So I got to work with loan officers, got to learn everything that they did. And then I kept progressing myself up, and forward. It was great.
Yeah. I see. You got the huge smile on. That's it. Isn't that it? It's just
It
it.
is.
And when you talk to these folks, during the mock interview, it's like, yeah, it's so important. I so believe this thing. And I do mock interviews also. It's just so important for them to figure out what really truly drives them.
Oh,
And
I have a
then
funny
kind of
story.
figure out, and the industry sometimes doesn't even matter. It really doesn't, because and you got to have some interest, you have to have an interest in it, the rest of that stuff, but it's that
Right.
inside talent that you have, that inside drive that you have, that inside personality. Once it's brought out, you go, because I'm sure you'd be successful in a multitude of different industries. It's that leadership skill, that's really it. And that brings us
Right.
back to why you're
Oh,
vice
but yeah.
president of the chamber and the whole thing.
Well, I always want to tell you one funny story. You just reminded me, Brian.
Go ahead.
I was doing mock interviews at Five Towns College. So I asked this one student, so tell me, what is one of your weaknesses? Oh, one of my weaknesses is I like to procrastinate and do things at the last second, late at night. I actually stopped the interview. I do time out at that point. I said, we got to talk about that. That's going to hurt you down the road. If you ever said it, you got to try to change that weakness into a plus. Oh, I work too many hours. I like to finish the thing and I'll stay overtime. You got to change that into a plus, that weakness. So I'm hoping that I help that person. This was a couple of years ago. So I'm hoping that resonated with that person and they corrected that one. Never say you procrastinated and that's all you do. That's not a good trait.
No, it's not. I would probably phrase that a little bit differently. I wait to the last minute because I enjoy the excitement at the moment, the energy, when you got that deadline facing you. And maybe that's what it is too. They're just looking for something that
Yeah,
really excites them. They were
but
just bored the whole way through.
you know what it is, Brian? You don't want to tell somebody I like to procrastinate.
No.
The best thing I tell my staff all the time, if something's on your desk, just finish it and get it off your desk and move on. Don't let it just sit there until the very end. Because there's a chance that something can go wrong and you don't get to finish that project or that assignment. Just do it.
Right.
And I'll help you if you need it.
Yeah, maybe that's some of it. Yeah, but I agree. For me, I always like the excitement level. So I wait sometimes, also something
Right.
I would go and do. I got stories. We won't go into that because today was all about you there, Craig. All about you.
Thank you.
People's Bank, People's United Bank in East Northport, branch manager Craig Levy, who not only does the banking side of things, does the people side of it, obviously involved with the chamber. So any comments you'd like to make here in the end before I say something nice about you again?
You've said so many nice things about me. I really appreciate it. This is fantastic. But if I can help anybody in the future, please look me up at People's United Bank. And I'd be more than happy to sit and talk to you and give you my opinion and my advice. As we were saying, I know a lot of people, and I'd be more than happy to help anybody that needs my assistance. And I want to thank you all for listening today.
Hey, Craig, thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's an absolute pleasure. I look forward to actually seeing you, that face-to-face thing, at one of the chamber events, and without a doubt, as we continue
I'm
on
looking
over here.
forward to that too.
Yeah. Hey, maybe next time in the Northport area, we'll stop in there and We'll share a cup
I
of coffee.
really would
We'll have,
appreciate that. Thank
yeah,
you.
have a cup of coffee, something like that. All right. Have a great day, Craig.
Perfect.
Thank you again.
Thank you, Brian.
There is the importance of the whole thing, when it comes to your career or your involvement with the chamber, or your involvement with the community, your involvement with your employees, whether you're a manager, a branch manager, or, an employee of a company. It's a matter of showing your own excitement for whatever that role is. And if you're not excited about that role, about some of the things that the role has you doing, in this case, Craig is interacting with people on an ongoing basis, whether it be at the bank or over at the chamber or with the employees and that kind of thing. But if you're not excited about that, why are people going to be excited about you and what you're doing and your guidance and your opinion and all the rest of that stuff that goes along with it? So that becomes an important thing. And I know he's instilling that attitude with the students when he does the mock interviews or does his presentations or involved with a newer chamber member as that goes through. So think about that one. All right. So if you have any questions about the chamber, banking, etc., you definitely want to reach out to Craig. And again, Craig, thank you so much for joining us here. People's United Bank, Melville Chamber of Commerce, and we're going to continue on meeting a few more members of the chamber as this week continues. If you listen to the recording, you could find all of these things, and I'm hoping that message gets out. It gets out really clear. Regardless of where you're at with your business, whether you're established, whether you're new, whether you're looking to do something a little bit different, there are always organizations for you that you can reach out to, whether they're right smack in your backyard or whether they're in that geographical area, and if it's a committee that's focused on the same kind of thing that you're focused on, get involved. By all means, reach out and find those people that are going to support your efforts, but also that have kind of been there, done that, so you could share some ideas and flush some of those things out. Find people like Craig, find people and organizations like the Melville Chamber of Commerce. That's going to make it work. And when you get there, do three things, of course: speak well, speak often, and live inspired. Have a great day.